So, what did you guys learn from selling a pen? Emotion. What else? Questions. Wait a second. Wait, have we heard this before?
Yeah.
Sell with questions, sell with emotion. So how many times today did you ask the client, if I could get you more money for your house, would you sell your home? Don't answer. But that's what we do. The emotion isn't the money. Nobody gets real emotional about the money, unless maybe you won the lottery and it was like an obscene amount of money, right? But other than that, if I can get you more money, where's the emotional movement in that question? Get it?
Yeah.
All right, what else did we learn?
One thing I noticed, when you're dealing with the emotion, by asking question, you create also visualization. You let them visualize how they don't need a pen. Anyone can have a pen, but visualize it.
Well, they visualize it, and then the question, if you remember, was how important was the pen?
Right.
To most of us, the pen isn't important. But his question, what was the last thing you did with the pen? Well, I used it this morning to sign a contract. Okay? Well, how much was that contract worth? Well, it was worth $5,000, $10,000, in our cases, $10, $15, $20,000, right? Wow. So your contract, remember what he did? He moved that forward and painted a different picture. Now the pen was part of an act that would help you make potentially tens of thousands of dollars. So now the pen, instead of a crummy little whatever plastic pen, now becomes more valuable. It's part of a bigger story. And that bigger story, the way he was selling it, was you can have more for your family, you'll have a bigger house, you'll have a bigger car, you'll be able to pay for a school for your children. Made this really big. Now this pen becomes what? More valuable. Isn't that interesting? So what we're selling is you can sell your house and make more money, but in fact, it's not just the money. I want to sell my home, and I want a bigger home so that when my brother-in-law comes over, he comes into a bigger home and he's jealous, and that's good emotions for me. Well, there's a lot of truth in that story sometimes, right? You want a nicer house than your sister-in-law or your brother-in-law, or you want, so tell me about the house you're living in. Well, it's nice, but it's not the house I want, ultimately. Well, tell me about the house you ultimately want. I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that. Well, have you seen anything you like? Yeah, I did. I went and driving around, and I saw the house. And we start moving them along by asking what? Questions. You guys with me on this?
Right.
Yeah.
It's called selling. Sell me a pen. Sell me a house. Let me understand the emotions. What else did we learn here today?
In relating it to real estate, he said that you hand them back the pen because people won't buy unless they can physically touch something. So I related that to buyers. Instead of emailing them property, pick 3 properties and then show them the property, because they won't buy it unless they're there, feeling it, touching it, things like that.
Great point. Set an appointment and go show them the property. What do? We send them the 3 properties. Why do we do that? Because the properties are generally out of our area. Remember what we're talking about? We're talking about to get bigger, you have to get what? Smaller. To get smaller, because, we want to continue to go back to that house that expired and catch the seller at home, right? You want to go back once, twice, 3 times, 5 times, 8 times, 12 times, whatever it takes to meet the seller, right?
Yep.
You can't do that if you're in Walnut and the house is in Rialto. Or Fontana, whichever county. You can't. You guys with me on this?
Right.
So there's plenty of business here, wherever your here is, you don't have to go there. We think the agent, it's a little bit of an ego thing. We think the agents over there aren't as good as the agents over here. We think that. Or there aren't as many, or they aren't as trained. Get it? Well, there's as many not as good agents locally as there are over there. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Really? There's a lot of agents that don't know the scripts and dialogues and what to say and how to say it. And they don't know the stats. And they don't know how to sell a pen. But you do. That's the difference. All right, what else did we learn with this morning? Okay? So, I wrote down a couple of things on some closing skills you might want to write down. The first thought here. Closing is the natural end to a great presentation. Closing is the natural end to a great presentation. Closing is the natural end to a great presentation. And I wrote a note here. How well do you know your presentation? Because if you know your presentation at a really high level, and you know what to say and how to say it at a really high level, the end to a great presentation is a natural close. Natural. So the second thought. In selling and in closing, the only no that counts is the last one before you quit. In selling and in closing, the only no that counts is the last one before you quit. I wrote down the third thought. If you follow the listing presentation verbatim, and you guys are getting better and better and better at that every single day, and you're sitting in front of a pre-qualified seller, the close is simple. What's the key phrase there? Pre-qualified seller. The close is simple. Because I wrote down here, when you haven't pre-qualified them and don't know their motivation, the close is difficult or impossible. You guys get that? The close is difficult or impossible. I wrote down the next thought. Always assume that they're going to sign your contract at the end of your presentation. Always assume they're going to sign your contract at the end of your presentation. And you can make this assumption by following your scripts, by nodding and smiling, by staying on track, and by asking a lot of questions. The next thought I wrote down here. Being a great closer is more about attitude, enthusiasm, confidence, and belief than it is about using strong words. Your attitude, your approach, your expectation has more to do with you getting that contract signed than by you trying to be overbearing with the client and intimidate the client. Just remember that. Huge thought. Be sure you close a minimum of 5 times. A minimum of 5 times. Because statistically it's proven that 80% of all sales take place after the 5th close. So you need to know 5 ways to say the same thing to move the client down the road. If you know 1, great. If you know 2, good. But you're still short. Do you guys get that? You've got to know it 5 different ways to be able to close on the transaction. I wrote down here 2 last thoughts. create urgency when asking for the appointment. Create urgency when asking for the appointment, and create additional urgency when asking for the contract to be signed. Urgency. Speak a little bit faster. Let's get this done. Time is of the essence. We need to get this into contract. You know, one of the questions that we ask people is, when do you need, let's say on a listing contract, when do you need to be moved by? Well, I need to be moved by August. Great, so August, so we're going to write down you need to be moved by August. So take a moment and count the months between now and August. So this is April, right? But, so we have the rest of so we have May, June, July, now August. Now let me ask you something. So we have 3 months before August. See how I'm moving this down? It really is the first part of April. And August has 31 days in it. But I'm telling you there's only 3 months. I've created some urgency by having that conversation already. Now, when in August do you need to be moved? Do you need to be moved or do you need to be sold? Okay? I need to be moved in August because my job transfer, I have to physically be there. Great. Okay, did you want, is your wife joining you or not joining you in this transfer? If your home isn't sold, will she be moving with you or will she wait here till the home is closed? Okay, ladies, how would that feel? Not real good, right? You want to move with the family. You want the family to move together. So we're creating some what? Some urgency by doing what? All I've done is asked what? Questions. Which are obvious questions in the conversation. Do you guys get what's going on here?
Yeah.
Okay? Not just create a little bit of urgency. Then if you find out, well, I want to move in August, great. So now let's count the number of days in August. So we have 90 days. Well, let's see, we have a usually 30 to 45 day escrow. A lot of times it takes us, by the time we get the videos done and we get the photography done and we spruce up the house a little bit, get a little paint on the front door, those kinds of things. That'll take a week for this and another week for that. So we're already into the middle of the next month. So we really only have about 30 days or 30 or 40 days to market the house to try and get you we need to start today. We're already behind the 8 ball. Urgency, right? You guys get that? And the last thing I wanted to say in terms of closing a sale is, in my work in the last 40 some odd years of coaching, I find that agents do 2 things wrong. They don't close soon enough in the process. You can write that down. They don't close soon enough in the sales process. They don't close soon enough in the sales process. And the second thought is they don't close often enough. Sometimes we can make the close very fast. We're started down the process. We ask them if they want to buy or if they want to sell, and they say yes. We start our contract and we move on. A lot of times we're not asking that soon enough. And the second part is we don't ask for the client to sign the contract often enough. Remember, you have to ask at least 5 times. And that's when 80% of all the transactions are done. You guys with me on this?
Yep.
Yep.
Got it? Questions on some of the things that we covered? Closing the sale. Everybody has this? Okay? So now you've got 2 things today. You now know how to sell a pen.
Just in case this real
Just in
estate
case.
doesn't work out.
Just in case. Okay, and I am always in the market for a good pen. All right, that's number 1. And number 2, we got some closing skills. The third thing you need to do in the rest of the day is to talk to more people. Because we're in the talk to people business. Now, let's take these ideas, let's put them into action, and let's make this the best week we've ever had. Thank you very much.
And Advanced scripts, 2 minutes.
I'm Jean, nice to meet you.
2 minutes advanced scripts. We're gonna use a script of actually talking to more people.
Whoa, no.
I know.